Hi everyone, good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in and for watching Atlanta News First, or ANF Plus, here to give you a check of the first alert forecast, streaming to you live across a variety of platforms, including YouTube. Atlanta News First, the account to like and to follow if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns. Also, we're live on Facebook right now, Atlanta News First. Again, we're streaming in many places, but if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, or if you need clarification on that forecast, definitely Atlanta News First on Facebook, and again, that same account on YouTube, the places to be. We just activated those live streams, so if you are confused by any portion of the forecast that we talk about tonight, or if you maybe have plans coming up on Thursday with the first alert weather day, obviously the weather is going to have an impact. So if you need any clarification, feel free to give me a holler. Again, my name is Cutter Martin, a meteorologist here at Atlanta News First. If this is your first time watching, thanks for tuning in. This is a place where we can chat weather and go into a little bit more detail and also give you the time to ask your questions, whereas if you were watching on TV or on a more traditional platform, you know, we'd give you the weather information, but maybe a little bit harder to get that clarification. Again, the main storyline here, the main impact of the next 7 days is tomorrow. First alert weather day was a first alert. We knew rain and storms were coming, but our confidence has grown that, hey, rain and storms, yes, but also arriving at a time that's going to be of most impact to you. That's to drive home tomorrow. Heavy rain, showers, thunderstorms, a guarantee at this point, and some of that rain will be on the heavy side, and there is a risk of a few severe thunderstorms arriving here in North Georgia, Metro Atlanta. The entire area has that risk, especially, unfortunately, afternoon and evening, kind of centered in on the evening commute time. Vals, hello to you on Facebook, Atlanta News First. Already have some folks commenting in. Again, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, Facebook and YouTube, the place to be, monitoring both of those feeds and commenting at the moment. The forecast is looking stormy Thursday. Feel free to ask questions. And again, if you're wondering what I'm typing, I'm chatting with folks on YouTube and Facebook as well. Vicky Standard saying good evening from Widener up on the northeast side of town. Good evening to you. Sheila Hill from Noonan, Coweta County, hello. And Janice Jackson, good evening. I hope you have a wonderful night as well. Let's go ahead and dive into that forecast, and we'll get right to the story, and that is our Thursday first alert weather day, risk of severe weather. We're going to go a little bit out of order tonight and start with the most pertinent part of the forecast, and that is the severe weather outlook for our Thursday. Notice the entire viewing area. Everyone from Rabun County, Clayton, down to Gainesville, Hall County, over to Canton, both sides of Lake Lanier, Hall and Forsyth County, into Atlanta proper, all of our immediate metro counties, down to Lake St. Clair and Oconee, Putnam County, the Eatonton community, over to LaGrange, Carrollton, Troup and Heard counties, all the way up to Rome, Floyd, Chattooga counties. Everyone, even our two Alabama counties, Cleburne and Randolph, has a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 of severe weather tomorrow. What that means is that not everyone is going to be impacted by severe weather. Not every neighborhood will see wind gusts greater than 58 miles an hour. Not every neighborhood will see hail at least the size of quarters. And of course, not every neighborhood impacted by tornadoes. Nonetheless, the conditions are in place for those conditions, those severe storms to form and to occur, and we can't pinpoint this far out exactly which neighborhoods will be most impacted, so everyone needs to be on guard. Simply put, because all of the ingredients will be there area-wide to produce a handful of severe thunderstorms. Not every thunderstorm that moves through will be severe tomorrow, but we all need to be aware of that possibility. Again, all of North Georgia, all of the Atlanta News First viewing area is shaded in yellow. And now for the hour-by-hour forecast, because the good news here, and I know we were talking about timing not being on our side with the evening commute, that holds true, but it's going to be moving fairly quickly. Let's start tomorrow morning. There is a drier portion of the day tomorrow. There is a time where you can get the runs in, get the errands in, maybe shift some of your plans to earlier in the day to avoid the worst of the weather. And that is, you know, out the door 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It'll be kind of gloomy, lots of low clouds, could be some patchy fog, areas of drizzle, and a couple of rain showers, but drier than it will be in the afternoon, that's for sure. Temperatures in the mid and low to mid 50s really across our higher elevations of far North Georgia. The rest of us, I think, be getting near record warm morning temperatures, meaning the low temperatures tomorrow morning will be some of the warmest ever recorded on tomorrow's date, even in the city of Atlanta, especially in the city of Atlanta. if the data holds, which we're forecasting upper 50s to near 60, that's very mild, even warmer than the average high temperatures this time of year. So the ingredients, the conditions there for thunderstorms to form. We get thunderstorms in January, right? But we don't often have widespread severe weather in January. And while the severe weather may not be widespread tomorrow, I do think by January standards, certainly going to be a stormy day, and that's in part due to all of the moisture and the warm temperatures we have around the area, even beginning tomorrow morning. So rolling hour by hour, here we are, mid-morning temperatures more in the 60s, low to mid-60s by that point, with isolated showers around, kind of a yucky start to the day, but not severe, and there's dry time in there, even if it looks gloomy, even if there are a few showers. That, though, quickly changes as we get into lunchtime, noon, 1 p.m., 2 areas to watch. In fact, I'm going to draw this out for you. We'll pause it at 2 p.m. And 2 things to keep in mind. We have a line of thunderstorms moving in from the west, so that's getting going, moving towards Chattooga County, Floyd County, the Rome, the Dalton areas. But also, we're going to be watching isolated, kind of hit or miss thunderstorms developing off to the east and to the southeast of that main line. Could develop over the city of Atlanta, but I think more likely to occur just to the east of the 85 corridor. Notice these isolated thunderstorms developing in here from Griffin to Covington, Eatonton, Putnam County, on towards the Augusta area. We'll be watching to see how organized those storms out ahead of the main line, out ahead of the main cluster of storms. We'll be watching to see how organized those isolated storms are in the afternoon. If there were to be isolated tornadoes, that would be one spot to watch in particular, in addition to this kind of screaming line of storms that moves in from the west. Again, hour by hour forecast. Here we are, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and the evening. Temperatures in the upper 50s and 60s with widespread heavy rain moving in from the north and west. So this is commute time. This is 4 p.m. tomorrow, 5 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. tomorrow. This forecast model, it's just one run of one computer model, basically what a computer thinks radar may look like tomorrow. So yes, subtle alterations, subtle changes are certainly possible, but I think the general idea of this nastiest of the weather moving in tomorrow afternoon and evening, kind of centered in on the evening commute, I think that's a pretty solid bet. And it's what we're preparing for, what we're forecasting, what you should be aware of as we get into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And notice how, yes, the line of storms, the heavy rain is widespread, but embedded within this, we have these little clusters of stronger storms developing, and we'll highlight those here for you. Again, I think this forecast model may have the exact locations wrong, but I think it has the idea right that we have a large line of storms, many folks dealing with heavy rain and lightning and thunder within the general line, but then you see those purple shaded areas indicating that there will be isolated strong to severe storms, kind of storms that pack a bigger punch than the rest of the line moving through during the afternoon and the evening. So again, this is 5 p.m. as you're hitting the road, heading home from the office. Good news though, going hour by hour further out into the future here, you'll notice that storms move quickly east. By 7 p.m., dry in Atlanta and maybe clearing out by that point. Here we are into the overnight hours. It's going to get chilly fairly quickly after storms move through. So by 9 p.m., cooling temperatures. Clouds try to move back in. No severe weather with these clouds, though. 11 p.m., midnight, 1, 2 o'clock on our Friday morning. Interesting, though, as this area of low pressure kind of pulls away to the east, we're going to have some wraparound moisture. And I think it is entirely possible that as northwesterly flow kicks in, we see some wraparound sprinkles, maybe some sleet pellets and some snow flurries on our Friday. Is it going to accumulate? No, absolutely not. Even Blairsville, even some of our mountain communities in the low to mid 30s Friday morning, a sharp contrast from the 50s and 60s we wake up to Thursday morning, sure, but it's still well above freezing, not forecasting any sort of accumulation there, but I would not be surprised in this setup with some much colder air filtering in. If we did have a few sprinkles, a few snow flurries, a few sleet pellets as we get into our Friday afternoon, maybe even evening. Temperatures in the 30s. Again, could be some snow up in the mountains. And by this point, temperatures will be closer to freezing up in the mountains. So the peaks, the highest of the elevations, Ivy Log, Helen, Blairsville, Clayton, Highlands, North Carolina, maybe the Clay County, North Carolina area. You could see some minor accumulations, but we're talking the mountain tops and the highest of the elevations. All right, we have some comments coming in. This is on Facebook, Atlanta News First, saying hello to LaFay Unique, saying boo, hello to you. I know storms, not the most exciting, not the nicest of a Thursday forecast, but hey, we'll get through it. Get that line of storms in and out of here, and then back to decent weather in the evening. Ryan says, wow, it's hitting hard and gone. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Storms move in, they move out fairly quickly. Going to jump off of that feed. Unfortunately, that video is repeating there. Let's see, Ryan wanting to know about Rockdale. Are they going to get hit tomorrow? Yeah, you're going to be just as at risk as anyone to your north and west. Rockdale County area, showers and storms moving through. Lafayette Unique, hello to you. Watching from Griffin. Sharon Nelson is watching from Stonecrest. Hello to you, Ellen, watching from the southeast side, Covington. And we have Val's watching from actually Jersey. Hello to you from afar. This storm system impacts you as well. Colder air after a chance of rain, maybe some thunderstorms even that far north. Janice watching from Brunswick, Georgia. Hello to you, Sheila Hill. Again, hello, and Noonan. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, no matter what platform you are watching on. Ryan Laird asking about Stonecrest as well. Yeah, storms moving through tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. I would say the window between about noon and 4 northwest side, maybe 2 and 5 or 6 metro, mainly towards the earlier part of that timeline. And then if you live in Athens, Clark County, Oconee County, down to Eatonton, I would say early evening. Probably home from work by the time the worst of the weather enters your neighborhoods, 5, 6, probably after 6 or 7 p.m. as we get into that area. In fact, we can run through the hour by hour another time for you so that you can get the full picture, because it's one thing to say it, but now you can see it. Again, hour by hour, 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Storms moving in to the far northwest side, Rome, Dalton, Carrollton, Cleburne, Randolph counties in Alabama, one of the first to be hit by this line of storms. And keep in mind, in this setup, it would not surprise me if storms arrived a little earlier than what some of the data is indicating. I think that that's, historically lines of storms like these tend to arrive just a little bit earlier, a little bit ahead of schedule. So keep that in the back of your head. We're giving you the latest timeline, but it could scooch up just a bit as we get into tomorrow. That's why it's important to stay in touch with the forecast. AtlantaNewsFirst.com, Atlanta News First, the news app, First Alert weather app, all ways that you can stay in tune with the First Alert forecast even if you're on the go. So 2 p.m. tomorrow, we have isolated storms developing mainly along an east of 75, 85, and a line of storms approaching from the west. So 2 areas we're watching. I think the widespread bad weather moves in with this line. You can see it's impacting Atlanta for 5 p.m., but we do have isolated storms mainly on the east side. Griffin, the southeast side, Covington, Athens, Gainesville, watching to see if maybe some earlier in the day isolated downpours and thunderstorms impact your plans. There will be a risk of severe weather with those as well, but I think the most widespread bad weather, the most intense conditions, on a large scale, will be with that line of storms. Mid to late afternoon, Blairsville, Canton, Gainesville, Atlanta, LaGrange, right as you get ready to head home from the office, the weather gets rough, but it moves quick. It doesn't last too long at any one spot. Here we are, 6 p.m., Athens, Covington. You're under the gun. Oconee County in there as well, headed towards Washington County, the Augusta viewing area east of us. Even Clayton up in Rabun County, extreme northeast corner of Georgia, starting to dry and clear out by 6, 7 p.m. So if you have late dinner plans tomorrow, may actually be salvageable. The worst of the weather could be a little bit earlier in the evening, and then it turns chillier. The clouds are back. Could be some sprinkles overnight, but as far as impactful weather, impactful rain and storms, long gone by 10 to 11 o'clock in the evening. And then the story becomes much colder air, much windier weather, and that chance of some sprinkles, some flurries, some sleet pellets on our Friday. So Friday, we're stuck in the low to mid 40s. That's in Atlanta, and we may struggle to reach 45. Now, if you live up in North Georgia, the mountains, you may struggle to reach 40 with a lot of clouds, sprinkles, sleet pellets, flurries, nothing really accumulation-wise. It's definitely not for the city of Atlanta, but if you live up in the the highest of the elevations up in far North Georgia, the mountains of western North Carolina, could be a dusting to a coating, maybe an inch or so up on the highest peaks up there, but it's not going to be much of a travel impact, and again, not looking at much of an issue there, but just a heads up. Could be a little bit of wintry weather around Friday. 20% chance you see a flurry fly by in the wind. That's the big impact, cold and wind on our Friday, but could be some sleet pellets, some snow flurries, some sprinkles. You may see it, but we're not worried about it accumulating Metro Atlanta. But up into the mountains could have a coating of snow on the highest peaks as we get into our Friday evening, Friday night. We're all cold Saturday. The wind calms down a bit. It'll still be breezy, sunshine back in the forecast. and still struggling to hit 50. And with the calmer winds, that cold air mass settling in and clear sky, we're looking at a widespread freeze Saturday morning, Sunday morning, even Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day morning begins near freezing, but kind of a tricky forecast Monday because we'll have some clouds moving in. If those clouds move in a little earlier, may save the metro from a light freeze. Regardless, in the afternoon, we'll be back in the 50s. Clouds move back in, signaling our next first alert. Not as intense as the storm system impacting us tomorrow, but on our Tuesday, that risk of rain back in the forecast. First alert, a 50-50 shot at rain. I think some scattered to numerous showers moving through. Probably not as much in the way of thunder and lightning with that round of rain, but hey, it's a chance of rain. Temperatures a little milder as well, back in the mid to upper 60s next Tuesday and Wednesday. Some new comments coming in, I should say, on Atlanta News First, the Facebook page. Aricia L. Smith, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. If I didn't, I do apologize. What about LaGrange? Your risk of storms tomorrow between about 1 and 4 p.m. So LaGrange, Troop Heard counties, the far west side, in that 1 to 4 window, probably even more like 1 to 3. So early to mid-afternoon. We're watching LaGrange. You have the same risk of severe weather that everyone else does. Wind gusts to 60 to 65 miles per hour. Straight line winds in a couple of these storms. Torrential rain with any storm that develops tomorrow. Thunder lightning with any storm that develops. And again, a few could produce those gusty straight line winds. Can't rule out an isolated tornado. And also could be some hail up to about the size of quarters. Sanchez, L. Burns, Turner, hello. I'm doing well. Hoping for good weather when we head to Athens Saturday. Let's pull that 7-day back up. Athens, it is going to be cold and windy, maybe breezy, maybe not as windy as our Friday, but cold and breezy Saturday. So it is going to be downright coat weather. If you are headed to the parade, Sanchez, wear the layers. Saturday in Athens, that dog parade, it is going to be cold, it is going to be breezy, but sunshine is back in the first alert forecast. Not worried about any sort of rain showers, any thunderstorms in the forecast. Saturday, it'll just be cold, sunny, as it typically is, as we celebrate a national championship in January in North Georgia. Nothing too abnormal, but it will be a little uncomfortable in that Saturday forecast. Lori Foreman, you're very welcome for the update. Ryan Laird, you're welcome as well. Janice Jackson saying, feel sorry for the people in California. Too much, too quick. It's a real thing, but they have been in a long-term, what they call a perma-drought. They desperately need this moisture. And the unfortunate side effect of all of this is, yes, if there is flooding and there is damage, and I don't wish that on anybody, but from a water perspective and from a long-term perspective, nature, while it can be crazy, it's trying to balance things out here. So they desperately need some rain. They need that mountain snowpack going, and right now they're running ahead of pace for the water year. And that's a good thing for southern and central and northern California, the entire state, and much of the west. Utah benefiting, Colorado benefiting, Arizona benefiting. They all need the moisture, and glad that they are getting it, though I wish, of course, they could get it without any damage or destruction. Sanchez saying, thank you, you're very welcome. Just like last year, it was cold and windy. Yeah, cold, windy weather. Definitely in the forecast for our Saturday. Again, here is a look at the next 7 days. We do warm back up heading into next week, and this progressive pattern, we call it, where you get a storm system, cold plunge, warms back up, storm system, cold plunge, warms back up, storm system. You get the idea. It's kind of a repetitive, quickly moving pattern. Well, if they're unique, you're very welcome. And while we're talking about forecasts and the extended outlook here, reminder, 7 days on TV, but AtlantaNewsFirst.com, as well as in the First Alert Weather app, you can get the 10-day forecast. If you're using the website, just click on the First Alert Weather tab up at the top of the page. You have the written forecast, you have the current conditions, and below that, talk about what you need. The weekend forecast, it's a simple click. The 10-day forecast as well, and notice how we actually remain mild even behind that Tuesday chance of showers and a couple of thunderstorms in the forecast. Though Tuesday system looking more showery than anything else, but we'll be watching that kind of subtle chance of some rain and thunder back in the first alert forecast. The main impact, though, in this entire outlook is the fact that we have a first alert tomorrow, rain and severe weather risk back for our Thursday. Let's run through that hour by hour one more time before signing off and letting you carry on with your evening. And you'll notice that the risk of showers and thunderstorms really starts to ramp up as we get into the early afternoon. Again, here is that latest outlook for you. Beginning the clock at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, there will be some spotty rain. But in general, rain is, hit or miss. I don't think it's a big impact to the morning drive, just kind of a gloomy, yucky looking start. And then 1 p.m., we have some isolated thunderstorms developing along and east of I-85. Could be some strong to severe thunderstorms within this. Again, we'll pause it here for you. 2 areas we're watching. We first of all have isolated thunderstorms developing roughly over Atlanta and points to the east. These will be moving north and east. 1 or 2 storms could become strong to severe. And then as we get into far northwest Georgia, a line of storms approaching. And this is going to be the main impact for most folks. The line of storms moving in behind the hit or miss downpours. That is going to be more impactful, will be impacting many more people as we go through the afternoon. Pausing it at 5 p.m. Rough stuff on the drive home tomorrow in Atlanta. Everyone gets heavy rain. Everyone gets a brief, period of lots of thunder and lightning most likely, and embedded within this line, there could be a handful of few severe thunderstorms, wind gusts to 60, 65 miles an hour. Isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out. I'm not talking about a tornado outbreak, but like last week, there could be a couple fast-moving tornadoes, so please make sure you have at least one way to get severe weather alerts and information and updates to the forecast tomorrow. First Alert Weather app is a good tool to have, a great way to do that. NOAA Weather Radio is another one. There are plenty of free resources. We love our app. We love that you use it, but the important thing here tomorrow is that you just have at least one reliable way, no matter what it is, to get severe weather alerts in the afternoon and the evening. But by dinner time onward, storms quickly moving to the east. They are moving out of North Georgia, and I think for dinner plans in the city of Atlanta, we're drying out. Now, as you are maybe traveling east, as you head to Athens, as you head to Clark Oconee counties, if you head to maybe Eatonton, if you live on the far east side, could be dealing with some thunder into the dinner time frame, but I think by 8, 9 p.m. storms are out of the area. M.A. Wilson, you're very welcome. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the viewership. And then we're done. We're back to cold air. We're back to chance of sprinkles, snow flurries, sleet pellets, but no real accumulation except for maybe the mountaintops up in far North Georgia, western North Carolina. No accumulation in the city of Atlanta, but something you may see, don't have to worry about, but you may see it on our Friday as the winds kick up and temperatures really begin to fall. All right, time now is 8:31. We're live on Atlanta News First in less than 30 minutes. Full check of the forecast. Some of that evening data starting to come back in as well. I'll have your forecast 9 o'clock hour. First Alert Meteorologist Fred Campania has the forecast 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. half hour. The new data really coming in by the 11, so any alterations to the forecast you can get it coming up in just a few minutes, starting in 30 minutes, anywhere you're watching this particular forecast, and want to leave you with an hour-by-hour look at that forecast, again centered in on the time where storms are most likely tomorrow, and that is going to be along the I-85 corridor into the city of Atlanta. We'll pause it at 4 or 5 p.m. tomorrow. Stormiest time frame. Data's been consistent. Could wiggle just a bit. Could arrive a little earlier, but I do think evening commute going to be hard to get through that without any weather impacts. So again, summarizing all that, First Alert Weather Day tomorrow, widespread heavy rain for a period of a couple hours in the afternoon and early evening. A few severe thunderstorms with that heavy rain. Full forecast coming up in less than 30 minutes on Atlanta News First. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and again, have at least one way to get severe weather alerts on your First Alert Weather Day Thursday.